you're shooting, it needs to be treated like an athletic sport. So whether you're playing football or baseball, or any dynamic sport, typically those athletes start with weight on the balls of their feet. It's far too common for people to sit here standing up casually, flat-footed, especially when they're shooting handguns. And I'm shooting my gun faster. It doesn't take much for the gun, it's the Glock 48, to start pushing me backwards and on my heel. And what that effectively does is it starts to take that gun off of the plane that it started on. So, flat-footed, doesn't take much effort to put me back on my heels. What I'd rather do is open up my stance or widen my stance a little bit, drop down a little bit, and I want to make sure that I maintain weight on the balls of my feet when I start shooting and when I'm done shooting. What I don't want is to start on my feet and then start to rock back as I continue shooting. So, my goodness, these bags, dude. My gun returns a lot more consistently. It wants to come back to where it started much sooner. As a result, I'm able to manage recoil a lot more effectively. So try to make an effort to widen your stance a little bit, and this is something that you should definitely experiment with. Now, I say all that, and some of the bigger guys can manage recoil a lot better, and they can get away with a lot more and stand and shoot upright. But I'm not one of those big dudes. And so I found that widening your stance, maintaining weight on the balls of your feet, and having a forward bias as you shoot allows you to manage recoil a lot more effectively. Okay, so the same principles apply when you're shooting a rifle. If I am flat-footed and I start to shoot faster, it doesn't take much effort to take that gun off plane, and it does not want to return back to where it started. Now, if I widen my stance, and with the rifle, because I've got a third point of contact, I just prefer to have a little bit more of an offset with my right leg. I'm going to start with weight on the balls of my feet and make every effort to end the shooting process with weight on the balls of my feet. And I find that the gun returns back to where it started much more consistently. Instead of when I'm shooting standing upright and tall, I find that as I start to rock back on my heels, my sight just continues to rise and it doesn't come back to where it started. So make sure that when you're shooting any guns for that matter, that you maintain a forward bias and you maintain weight on the balls of your feet. And certainly experiment with the width of your stance, shooting more squared up as opposed to being a little bit more offset. Obviously you want to be shooting paper targets to see the results downrange, to see if those changes in your stance are allowing your gun to behave a lot more predictably.